Hi, welcome to the Creative Ewe podcast, aka Shine Baby Shine. I forgot every time to say this is a knitting and crocheting podcast, so I hope I got it right. First time I forgot to tell you my name. It is the end of January. We're moving into February. It's been pretty mild here. I mean, we can't complain. We like snow. We had beautiful flurries yesterday. And if you've ever filmed snow, it looks like dazzling diamonds falling down. It's so pretty. Come here, Ellie. Come here. Come here. Let me have you say hi to my pal. Come here. Come on. Come on. Come on up here. Come on up here and say hi. Come here. Come here, baby. Oh, my goodness. This is my sidekick, Ellie. She greets all the customers that come in the door. She is a speckled cocker spaniel. Can you say hi? Can you look at? There we go. What a sweet girl. Yes. Okay. Let's get down without too much trauma here. All right. Hop down. She greets every customer that comes in the door. And on the way to and from work, we play this game to see if there's any people out walking dogs. I'll say, Ellie, this way. And she'll look that way. Or, Ellie, that way. And she leans out the window as if to say, hey, I see you. It's really cute. It makes my day coming back and forth to work. So here we are again. I have my June bunny shawl on. I have talked about this shawl 3 times now and have never given a shout out to the designer whose name is Anise, I-N-E-S-E, Andes, A-N-D-E-Z-E. And you might say, am I going to have show notes? Not yet. Not yet. I'm trying to put together a point of sale system, inventory, end of the year taxes. Like, do you see like sparks coming out of my head? If I can see, I can't even say if I can stay sane. Anyway, this woman does really pretty shawls. She's called Silver Lining Knits. And this is a June bunny shawl, which I'm wearing down like that, over the shoulders. Pretty colors. It's done with Louisa Harding Petura, which is a bamboo, merino wool, and just gorgeous colors. Okay, moving on. It's been a good week. This is Saturday. We're having a knit along and had some ladies drop in and work on their sweaters. And I will show you one or maybe 2. So this is, keep you in suspense, drum roll. This is the throwback cardigan, and it's done out of Ella Ray Classic Superwash wool. And I don't know if you can see it, but the gray has little hints of pink and blue in it. And this is the knitter of this. Miss Howard being so funny here. She says, oh, I can't be serious. And do I have pictures of anybody else? Maybe not. Cheryl is doing the Agatha cardigan, which I don't know that you can see very well, but you do a lace border down both sides, and then you pick up stitches. And she's doing that in Ella Ray Cozy Soft Raspberry Pudding color. It's going to be worth waiting for. It's going to be really good. This is Holly and her little buddy, Cody, who comes to knit in. And Holly picked a sweater called Fleur, F-L-E-U-R. It's a Barocco pattern that was brought out when they introduced their yarn folio. And folio had all these self-striping colors. And so she always liked the circle vests that are crocheted. And so she thought that that would be good because she saw one that was knitted, that would be good. And so she picked a pattern called Fleur, F-L-E-U-R. I think I said that. And I'm going to show it to you, and you can see how it would have showcased that yarn. However, I didn't have that yarn, and she picked, wait a minute, here we go. See that? Well, that is what Holly picked. The directions start out, cast on 80 stitches for the ruffle. Knit in double moss stitch for 620 rows. And that is where Holly is. She said, always read the directions before you start a project, which she did. And so she's been bored and working on other things. And if you look at people's projects, the ruffle goes the entire way around the sweater. So that's where Holly is. I think I showed you the scarlet hat, and you can put 1 button, 2 buttons, 3 buttons, but it's a nice knit. We did a class with this week to learn knitting in the round, and I am glad the pattern specified that when you went to stockinette stitch, you just knit, because that can confuse new knitters. When they're knitting in the round and it says knit and stockinette stitch, and they knit a row, purl a row, and they don't get what they're supposed to. So I just finished a child size. These are going to be my little buttons. Won't they look cute? And this is in lace merino worsted. That was a quick knit. And then I've been up to some other things, so let's start with some shawls. Have you ever heard of Mindy Ross? I like Mindy Ross's patterns. They're unique. See the jagged edge? It says little beads in it that make kind of look like dewdrops, and this is called Early Morning Rain. And when you drape it, you know how people put their shawls on, they got to play around with them and fiddle them, but you get a nice look with that shape. This is a yarn called Painted Desert, Knitting Fever Painted Desert. And all of the colors tended to be in earthy tones. And then they brought out this colorway called Angelic. And that is Mindy Ross. So what's been going on with your week this week? Anything new, exciting? I have a mind that just goes, and I'll read something or watch a movie, and then I just think of all kind of possibilities and scenarios. And my husband and I watch Where the Red Fern Grows, and I think I read the book as a child, and I remembered it was a classic. I didn't remember it was going to be like Old Yeller all over again. I thought that a dog died. I forgot that he had 2 dogs. They were like the best hunting dogs. He trained them. And then in the end, one of his beloved dogs got attacked by a cougar. Did you ever read a book where they called them painters? And then the other dog, Ian, just died of a broken heart. And so his parents wanted to leave the area anyway. This was in the Ozark Mountains, and they saw it as a kind of an answer to prayer that they didn't want to leave their son behind, but now he had nothing keeping him there. And as they were pulling away, he's like, "Mom, come quick." This beautiful rare red fern growing out of the dog's grave, but I had to cry. Oh, golly. My grandkids, when kids are little and they really don't cry, they don't feel that emotion. And I'd watch movies with my little twin grandsons. Aren't they dear? They're now 15 years old, though. This is Gavin and Ethan. And at a sad part, they would look over and they'd say, Grandma, are you going to cry? Are you going to cry? So one day we were watching this movie, and it was Abigail Breslin, and it's about two girls that are orphaned, and they get this dog, and they don't realize it's a Great Dane, and they get really big, and he got hurt. And when they thought the dog was going to die, Gavin started crying, and he's like, Grandma, it's my first time. It's my first time to cry at a movie. It was sweet. It was sweet. Okay, so what are we going to talk about? You know, and you can ask yourself, why expose yourself to these really sad, sad things? Why? When I was in medical school, I took a rotation in oncology. And when I got there that day, I was with oncologist, Dr. Eamon Boyle. And he said to me, why are you here? And I said, hi, my name is, and I'm a med student at University of Maryland, and I'm here to do a rotation in oncology. And he said, why are you here? I thought, what's up with this guy? And so I repeated my little blurb, and I'm nervous. And he said, why are you here? I thought, what does he want me to say? My husband says that to me sometimes. What do you want me to say? And I'm like, so I said, I'm going into family practice, and 1 in 25% of my patients will at one time get cancer. And he said, okay. And he said, I can't tell you the last time a student voluntarily came through here. And you know what? I cried every day driving home from that rotation. There's a verse in the Bible when Jeremiah says, my heart, my heart. I thought it was more than I could take. I saw so many sad, 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 sad things. Young people dying of cancer, things that never leave you. You know, it's like men that go through a war, they never leave you. And what's really the point? To talk to them about to other people, because you want to forget and you can't. So then I did a rotation in child psychiatry, and the other medical students asked me, why are you putting yourself through that? Why? Ask yourself why. Because I thought I should know, and that was a heartbreaker too. I was riding the metro then. I cried every day because these were children. Anyway, on a happier note, so do you avoid sad things or do you confront them? Remember Terms of Endearment, where at the end of the movie, it was only the women that, not Terms of Endearment, I'm thinking of Steel Magnolias. At the end of the movie, well, Terms of Endearment too, it was only the women left standing at the end to immerse themselves in the sorrow. And I do think sometimes that men see it as a weakness to break down, and so they avoid it. And I remember when I was a nurse, I graduated from nursing school, and I took a job at a nursing home, and this elderly lady came, and she had had a stroke, and she couldn't walk, and she couldn't talk. And her brother came from Baltimore, about an hour away, and he was with his wife and another lady, and he stood in the door, and he looked at her, and he said, she doesn't know us. And he turned around and left, and the ladies followed. And this dear lady laid in the bed, and these big tears kept going down her face. And if he could have just pushed past his sorrow a little bit, but he didn't. And she didn't even get to visit with them. So this dear little thing, isn't it so stinking cute? This is Philippe, F-E-L-I-P-E, by Hokey Locatelli. It's a little baby gift, and you can make a hat with it. And little socks. This is a yarn called Viking Raglan. It's a worsted weight sock yarn. and it's striped up beautifully. It could be your go-to baby gift. Cute for boys or cute for girls. And while we're on our little lamb session, we'll show some baby things. This is the baby watermelon cardi, and this is done with online Donita yarn, and it has this beautiful like semi-tonal that really does make it look like a watermelon, and we sell kits for this at the shop. My shop is Creative Ewe Yarn Shop in Pennsylvania. We're on Ravelry. There is a shop named Creative Ewe in California, not to get me confused. And then I had talked about Tega Hillard, and this is her pattern Wee Speedy, and it is speedy. You knit it on big needles. You start at the neck. You pinch off the armholes. You can do it in an evening. This is done with Ella Rae Seasons yarn. It comes in various colors. It is an acrylic with 10% polyamide and 14% wool. And it's cute. You can make a lot of these fast. And I thought when I found that pattern that I was going to go into business making these things. There's Wee Cupcake, Wee Speedy 2. They can all be a little bit different. Sometime I should show you all the ones I made. I couldn't stop. I love the pattern. Maybe I'm a product knitter who just wants to make things fast. I don't know, but I loved it. I loved every bit of it. Moving on. Here is the Asymmetrical Shawl by Joanne Threadhead. Let me make sure that's not a customer. Nope. Asymmetrical Shawl by Joanne Threadhead. What a unique name, right? Joanne Threadhead. Because if you Google asymmetrical shawl, you'll come up with a whole passel of shawls. And this was done with broadband super sock self-striping. And this comes in regular 100% superwash merino and one that has silk in it. It does really make pretty shawls. Oh my gosh, I have dirty fingernails. I'm so embarrassed. I went on a bus trip one time and I was the only lady on that whole bus trip that didn't have her fingernails done. And I don't know, I painted them one time for about a month, and then I'd forget to take the polish off, and then they'd look chipped and they'd look bad. And my husband never once even noticed that after all these years that I was painting my nails. So I just let it go. Let it go. Let it go. This is Quaker Stretch shawl. It does look nice on. I could be this lady that wears 2 and 3 shawls at a time. You know how you have like really stupid dreams? Well, when I used to be on call from the hospital and they wake you up at all times of the night, and I would get woken up out of a dead sleep, I would be having the absolute stupidest dreams that you could ever imagine. And one time, there was this doctor at the hospital that was very risque and probably dangerous and carrying a gun, and he had lied to me about some things, and I was dreaming that I was at a very fancy party with him, and we were coming down these big long steps, and he was all dressed up fancy, and I had a stack of hats on and a stack of pocketbooks, and who knows, and it's like, what in the world makes us dream this? And I mean, normally you don't even remember your dreams. But if you get woken up out of dead sleep, in that moment you remember it, and then it's put in your short-term memory. I could not figure out that dream. I mean, dreams mean something, but what did that possibly mean. And now it's in my long-term memory. So anyway, this is the Quaker Yarn Stretcher. I think it's a $3 pattern. It's by Susan Ashcroft. I really like her things, the Stitch Nerd designs. I'll be showing you more of her things later. And this was done with Casablanca, in a couple different colors. Ta-da! So that is that. For some crochet. Doesn't this make you think of spring? Although we have a couple months to go. This is called Road Trip Scarf. Road Trip Scarves by Zelda Olivier, called the Zooty Owl, from Johannesburg, South Africa. She also has a blog. This was fun. It's nice and light. You can wear it all year round. It has a decorative border. It's a Ravelry pattern. I believe it's free. Some with Ella Ray Phoenix DK prints. And I think I used just about the whole skein. So, skein versus skein. Let me tell you. This woman named Amy came in here and she kept saying skein. And I said, well, actually, it's skein. So she told me that she went home and put something online. Is it skein or is it skein? And she said, my gosh, people came out of the woodwork. Thousands of people giving their opinion. She's like, whoa. So she comes in and now she says skein. But oh, that's a pet peeve of mine. When someone says skein, I just think, why are they saying skein? If you look it up in the dictionary, it's skein. But also dictionaries can be wrong. Like before Webster's dictionary, they had a dictionary called pears. I have green eyes. My mom has blue eyes. My dad has brown eyes. I'm reading a book and it says, the definition of green eyes in the Pears Dictionary is the unfortunate offspring of a blue-eyed and brown-eyed parent. Boo hiss! What? People didn't like green eyes? It was bad to have green eyes? I mean, look at these gorgeous green eyes. What a bummer. Down with dictionaries. I don't know. What can you say? What can you say? Okay. We had the Quaker Stretch shawl, the asymmetrical shawl, the early rain shawl, and the June bunny shawl. So now we're going to move on to cows and scarves. This is the Garter Stitch Rib Cow, which is an Ella Ray Lace Merino pattern for $6. It's quite long. You could double it or triple it, I think. This is the Lace Merino weight. It's kind of quirky. Ella Ray Lace Merino comes in lace weight, Aran weight, DK weight, Worcester weight, chunky, and people are confused by the name. They're like, well, is it lace or is it, but they just kept the name. So this is the Garter Stitch Rib Cow, and I believe it's a $6 pattern. And let's show you a ready for this? Ripponlea, Ripponlea. Ripponlea. It is bodacious, isn't it? This is done with a Conway and Bliss, which was Debbie Bliss and her daughter, yarn called Odin. It is like a roving. It's a super bulky yarn, in really nice bright colors. And it is 75% wool, 25% acrylic, 92 yards. And Katie that comes here did one of these, and I don't know if it's cheating, but I really liked her colors. I think I might have copied them. But I picked also Lanaloft, Brown Sheep Lanaloft Bulky, and then I did the Odin Red. But I think because of my Fair Isle, the bottom flailed out, which that can happen if you have part of your pattern that isn't Fair Isle and it's looser. And then, so I did crocheted slip stitches around the bottom. It does have a garter stitch edge, but still. But anyway, I really like this. And that pattern is by Kirsty Anir Towder. I might have got that wrong. Anir, she is born in Australia, but if you want the pattern, it's 2 words, Rippon, and then LEA, and it's a $2.50 pattern. Nice and heavy and warm. Back to crochet. This is called the Mindless Scarf. It's a free pattern. And I'm going to have to give a shout out to the designer for this, but it is a very easy to memorize, like 3-stitch or 4-stitch pattern. And I have done it in so many different yarns. I had told you about Amatola Grande, and that is what yarn I used for this. It is a 50% wool, 50% silk, and it comes in this Aran weight, I think, and also a thin weight. But let me look up the Mindless Scarf for you here. It's very mindless, and you could get addicted doing it like I did and figure out how different self-striping yarns will look. She shows it in just a cream color, and you can probably see the stitch definition better. It is Knotted by Nicole, and that's her name, Knotted by Nicole, and that's her only pattern. Did you know the word knit, I think it was KYNT, originally meant to knot, to make knots? Sailors knitted, shepherds knitted. So there it is. And this color, oh, this is so nice. I just feel like you could just sleep with your knitted items. I have people that walk around the store with their purchases, and I say, would you like to put these on the counter? And they go, no. They'll have it under their neck. And one lady told me she drove home with her yarn under her neck. It makes me think about the time I had a St. Bernard puppy, and the puppy kept getting bigger, and the puppy would be beside me in the car with her paws on the little console looking out, but she got really big. And one day at lunchtime, I ran home and got her, and I wanted to take her back to the medical office really fast to show her to the ladies. So then I had to take her back home. So when we went back home, she's getting big, and she's up over this console, and she's now as tall as me. And she lays her head on my neck. Her head's about as big as mine. And I remember driving and thinking, it just doesn't get any better than this. This is just like, ah. Right after that, my daughter, who is grown and has a family of her own, texts me and says, Mom, I was driving. I saw this crazy lady with this big dog on her neck. And then I said, that's my mother. And I just wrote back and said, it doesn't get much better. I'm not apologizing for that experience. I'm not. No way. A while ago, I was looking at patterns from designers from today, and it's just a very simple shell stitch. And they tell you to take a DK weight. So I took Danube DK. This is my color. This might be called fruit salad, I'm not sure. And a mohair carry along. And look how pretty this is. So I just did 29 stitches and then a double crochet, chain one, double crochet in each spot. But this is going to be so pretty and nice. This is Debbie Bliss Angel, mohair and silk. I'll get into a reverie stroking my yarn and forget about all of you. I just be in my own little happy land. This one was a really fast knit at Christmas, so people were coming in to do this. It is the, I think it's called the Broken Rib Infinity Scarf by Margaret Schroeder. This yarn is called Usha, which means salt. It's a super bulky, mostly merino, a little bit of, I think, nylon. And it did do some nice striping. Fun and fast. So people that wanted to make, I'm looking to see if I have this yarn out, but it is somewhere. People that wanted a quick gift, they were making these. Also had a hat done in this. This was Brisbane hat. I think it might have been a lion brand, but when you spread it out, you get a cute little effect. And then, what else? Last time I showed you Ginga, which is a bulky cotton yarn. And all that I did was double crochet and joined it and let the yarn do its magic. So how many of you are playing around with designing a little bit? If you aren't, why not? Give it a chance. Just chain or knit some, cast on some stitches and give it a go. This is the same yarn with a button. It's a cow called The Mistake Rib by Liz Mayerrich, M-A-Y-E-R-R-I-C-H, Mayerrich. And I thought this would be good for all seasons. And I like the colors. And that is Noro Ginga, which means galaxy. And then I told you about the chunky pom-pom beanie hat that I can't stop making them. Here's another one. Chunky pom-pom beanie in a, I think it's a P hook. They're so fast. I'll soon have them all over the yarn shop, and we'll have to, I don't know, do something unique here. Talking about designing your own patterns. The Euro company has a yarn called Kaleidoscope. It comes in a worsted. It comes in a super bulky. And I just put a lot of stitches on. And I did some single crochets. And I did some single crochet in the back loop. And I did some half doubles. And maybe one day I'll write this up. But the yarn really does the magic. And I want to encourage all of you to play around. You can't really do anything wrong. You can't. I mean, this is what the yarn looks like. And it comes in multicolors. And this is their pink purple. And this is called Graceland. And it's a $10 yarn. So a $10 cow. I have to tell you a funny story about a cow. My husband never told me this story. People would come in the shop and say, so-and-so told me to ask you the story about the cow. Or if the man was at the shop, to ask him the story about the cow. What cow? So my husband says, oh, yeah. Well, one day this lady came in the shop and she says, I'm here to get yarn for my cow. And he said, okay, come again. And she said, I'm here to get yarn for my cow. And he said, that's what I thought you said, but what? Come again? My cow. He thought she meant she was knitting a scarf for her cow. So it really is funny. It's very funny. So I think maybe one more scarf and then on to something else. This is called Urban Shell Scarf. It has post stitches, bordering shell stitches. It's a free pattern. I wanted to do something in nice bright colors. This is a yarn called Cadiz, which feels like a nylon type yarn. And looks like 51% cotton, 33% acrylic, 16% viscose or rayon. But it's fun, and I can picture it'd be really nice in a bunch of different colors. Does anybody remember that book years ago? I could make a headband with it. Does anybody remember that book years ago about color? Was it Color Your World? And they drape you with all these colors, and they'd say you're winter, you're spring, you're an autumn, and it goes by your skin tones. Well, I don't think I've ever been a yellow person. And one time, one of the ladies that worked here made a really pretty lacy shawl in alpaca yarn, but it was a gold. And we had a prize giveaway, and the lady that won it declined it and said, last time I wore that color, my kids told me I looked like I needed a liver transplant. So this is the Ella Ray Lace Merino that I talked about. It's very pretty and soft. It's 100% merino, superwash, 460 yards. And I guess this would be a capelet or a cowl. This is called the 3-button cowl. It's a Ravelry pattern, and you could wear it as a cowl or you could wear it as a capelet. And I think this was done in a Lion brand yarn some time back, but I use this pattern for beginner crocheters. Okay, this is, you might recognize this, the Barley hat. And I had shown some things in Maypole, but this one is the chunky Maypole. And here are the little mittens. This is a Barley hat by Tin Can Knits. And these are called Basic Easy Mittens. And if you can see, this one, I don't know, has a little black thread running through the colors. It's a polyester yarn. People like it. People like to make shawls out of it. I'm showing you the DK weight here, but this is actually the chunky weight. And oh gosh, I might be finished, which means our time would come to an end. Oh no, it couldn't be. I guess just have to wait till the next time. Listen, whatever you do in your life, shine, smile. Don't waste life being grumpy. As women, you have a huge influence on your family. As men, it's unlimited. One time when I was getting ready to do hospital rounds, I went into the hospital in the morning. I heard somebody ask this man, well, how are you? And he goes, oh, same old, same old. I didn't know this man at all. I walked up to him after the other person left and said, you shouldn't say that, because it's a new day every single day, and God's mercies are new every day, and there's not a single day that's like another day. every day is beautiful and holds new opportunities. And every time after that he saw me, he'd be like, so anyway, shine baby shine. Signing.